Hey everyone, this is Shocking Jay, and we are here with a special episode.
Special episode.
Because, well, it might not be a one-off. Probably not. We'll probably do more. But this is our Naruto wrap-up discussion, where we're going to talk about our feelings on basically, we're not going to go through the entire series, but on basically all of Shippuden and I guess the original series too, because we've just finished Naruto. My name is Ryan, and I am joined by Bren.
Yes, as always.
And we finished Naruto finally recently, and we're just gonna talk about it. What we thought, just kind of the ending. We're gonna focus, I think, a lot on the ending because
specifically.
I started watching Naruto more recently. Than you, but even I started Naruto probably like 5 years ago, so it's not like fresh in my mind.
Has it really been that long for you too?
I think it's something like that. It was definitely like. It's definitely like
at least... because you started with Perry.
Yeah, it was definitely like at least 2017, 2018, I feel.
Okay, that's fair.
I think it was a while ago at least 3 years.
Okay,
but yeah, we recently, I guess recently is like basically just like the war arc and stuff that we finally got back to. Well, because you took a big break. How long ago did you start watching the show?
Started watching it 9 years ago. And that was the first anime I ever got into. I had some friends in high school that were like, hey, you should watch Naruto. Watch Naruto with us. And I was like, okay, isn't that weird? They're like, no, just watch it. I was like, okay. And so I started watching it, and it was during the summer, and so I had some extra time, so I started watching it, and all of a sudden I couldn't stop watching it, and then we all bought like Akatsuki cloaks and would talk about Naruto, and it's like, oh, do I watch in the sub or the dub? And at this point, when I had started watching it, there was a big debate over that, because didn't matter like which one you watched, like you had to switch to the sub because the sub was farther along than the dub. And so if you wanted to be fully caught up on the anime, you had to watch the sub. And so
the dub for basically the whole show was like at least 2 years behind.
Yeah.
The dub didn't finish until 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was like the big thing when I was watching it, of like, hey, you got to switch to sub at some point. So I did in Shippuden, I believe. And so I got all the way through Naruto, and then I switched over to sub in Shippuden, and then I fully caught up with the show like a year or two later, and watching it week by week was just killing me. And so I just stopped watching it.
Lots of fillers.
Lots of
filler breaks.
Lots of filler breaks, and watching like 20-minute episodes. Yeah, I feel like you get nothing with 20-minute episodes a week. Like,
well, because it'd be like 3 minutes of flashback.
Yeah, and so you're actually getting like maybe 10 minutes of new content a week.
15 minutes of like actual stuff.
Maybe. And so I was not enjoying that experience. It's one thing if like, it was like The Mandalorian and it was like one episode a week. Mm-hmm. At least it was like almost an hour worth of new content. Like, okay.
Yeah, some of those episodes are shorter, but yeah, it's like around 40.
Yeah, at least 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that feels a little bit more worthwhile. That's tough. And I have a tough time watching things week by week anyways. Yeah. But especially when things are so short. And so...
Well, it's so different. I mean, just on that comparison, because Mandalorian is like episodic at least. It like has like a beginning and an end like in each episode, basically. But Naruto is like the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
It's such a long...
It is very much
this is one of the longest series.
A bigger umbrella story, arc, conflict. Yeah.
If you count Boruto, this show is, at 1,000 episodes, I think, or nearing that. It's like 720, and Boruto just hit 200. So yeah, I guess they're at 920 episodes total. That's still airing technically.
That's nuts.
But yeah, just Shippuden, it's 700.
Yeah. So it's been a long time coming for me to finish.
The original series.
Yeah, to finish this.
Yeah.
So I stopped watching, and then I picked back up a couple years ago when you got close to where I was, where I left off. Yeah. And then we kind of watched separate for a while, and then we watched like the latest like 40 to 50 episodes together or something like that.
And we watched like the last. Well, this recently, super recently. We watched just like last like 15 or something like that, right? Like 15.
Yeah,
or,
but then
15 or 20.
yeah.
I guess I don't remember before that.
Okay, yeah. So probably half of the last 50 episodes we watched together.
Yeah,
specifically the last 15.
Oh yeah, because it's something like that. I don't know.
We would watch them together and then we watch them, separate and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we watched the last handful together as well. And
okay, yeah, because it's weird because we've stopped. I mean, yeah, we can mention this is that we technically haven't finished Shippuden technically.
Mm-hmm.
We watched episode 479. Yeah, so we watched. I'm looking here. It was 459. It was basically the beginning of. I shouldn't need to mention this. We're talking about the whole show. Full spoilers. But yeah, we started on 459, where Kaguya basically comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Or 460. Yeah, it's 460. That's where we like started this like past recently. So yeah, it was just that last 15, 16 episodes.
Yes. And this will be spoilers because we're actually talking about the whole show in its entirety and giving a review of it. This is full spoiler. It'll be in. This is everything that we like about
the title. Will make it clear.
The post show discussion about everything, assuming you've watched it and seen it. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it or check out another one of our videos.
It's too late now. Yeah.
Yeah, or tune into another one of our podcasts. So we're not.
I would recommend Naruto. I would recommend it.
If you enjoy good payout, and
if you like
really elaborate stories and good characters, I'd recommend it.
Just a lot of lore.
Yes.
And you just want a lot of episodes.
A lot of If you enjoy binge watching and you enjoy like a world, this is very much like Naruto is a world well built. Yeah. In terms of.
I mean, it
like a fiction world.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. I don't think it's it's too much, but it definitely, I would say maybe occasionally trips over itself.
Oh, for sure.
Slightly, at least a little bit in terms of introducing things.
Has to be because it's too big.
Yeah.
Too big, too long, too much, for sure. And so it does trip over itself, but I think the good overrides the bad, pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like we're like, oh.
And you can skip episodes.
What a waste of my life.
Yeah. And granted, I will say I did skip a majority of
fillers?
The fillers, especially in Shippuden.
Yeah,
not so much in Naruto, more so in Shippuden. I did skip a fair amount of fillers, so.
I didn't watch any fillers.
Yeah, it's.
I watched.
So you can if you don't watch fillers, it's a very doable show for sure.
Yeah, it's slightly short.
Yeah, definite recommendation. I think
overall, overall our thoughts on the whole show, it's definitely really fun.
It was fun. I thought it was
just following Naruto and Sasuke,
mm-hmm.
and well, I mean mainly them, but yeah.
It all boils down to them, anyways.
Yeah, that's kind of the core of the show is them and their relationship.
Yeah. Well, the show is called Naruto, so.
Oh yeah, the show is called Naruto.
And they're good characters. They very much have their archetype, and they fill it well, and they don't deviate. Of course, you get character progression and development and things like that, but it's mostly just age and abilities and capabilities and things like that. So it's nothing overwhelmingly that makes him a completely different person, which I think is really good, especially over a long period of a show. There's things about characters you like and you want to hold on to, and they do a good job of that. So I'd say overall I very much enjoyed the show. I thought it had really good payoff with things in the world, and if you kept watching, you very much enjoyed what happened at the end. The battle scenes were fantastic at the end.
Oh yeah, I mean that final fight's amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's everything you would want it to be.
Naruto and Sasuke.
Like it
just
holds nothing back.
Yeah.
It's just like literally they threw everything in the kitchen sink.
All right, this is what you've been waiting for.
And it's like the most intense thing ever. Yeah, and that's what you wanted. You didn't want like, and there was dialogue, and then literally just straight fighting for what, an episode, and it was 2
awesome. Episodes. The first
yeah.
episode is like them just fighting, and then the second episode is like when they both go in their Gundams and
yeah.
and then fight each other.
Basically, yeah. So really good payout.
Throwing meteors at each other.
Yeah, good characters, good show. Long, but if you want to get into something that has a really cool world and gets to dive in and learn more and more and more about it, it's a good show for that. So, yeah, I give it a thumbs up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, definitely one of my biggest criticisms is like thinking back to like early Shippuden and like I think about like the second Shippuden arc, which was like Sai and stuff. I think about like that, and I'm like, that's like, it feels like super unnecessary, like when like all like, yeah, that's probably my biggest criticism is like so much of the show feels like, it was going almost in a different direction.
Yeah.
And when you get to the end, it's like, it didn't really need to be this long.
No.
It really didn't need to be. Of course the anime, I know the anime, stretches it out, and obviously it's going to be quicker, if you're like reading the manga. Yeah. But it's still kind of like, do we really need, this arc? Do we really need this? Even like the first part is like with Gaara and stuff, kind of like, I mean, they're all kind of just about, introducing the Akatsuki and stuff, which, is fun. But it's kind of just like, what's the point?
Yeah.
That's how I kind of feel. At least that's probably my biggest criticism of the show. Like looking back now.
Yeah.
But it's still definitely, it's fun in the moment at least.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to unravel.
It is,
and see, because it is kind of interesting. The Akatsuki, are introduced at after we see Itachi and Kisame after the tuning exams.
Yeah.
And it's like the Akatsuki is the follow through from there to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Like that's like the whole, so it's like it does have that, which I think is pretty cool, which is like it's literally like sets it up here and that's the end goal, I mean, obviously Kaguya isn't like the leader of the Akatsuki, but that's where it leads to,
Yeah.
The path is set there and we kind of just continue it.
Mm-hmm. And I think the Akatsuki are really cool. I thought it was a really high point of the show to have these like outcast characters with incredible abilities that were very mysterious, had like their own agenda, and basically like when they showed up, they would just like roll over everybody else and did whatever they want. And it was super cool. And so I really like them.
That's our introduction. Yeah, just Itachi being like, all right, Kakashi, not even trying, just dead.
Yeah, basically. And yeah, they were just way too cool. And so I remember like playing the Naruto game. Like the fighting... Because they've had a couple of like Naruto fighting games, right?
A couple.
They've
had more than a couple.
I remember playing one.
There's a lot
when
of
I first started
games.
watching the show with my friends, and like we would all pick one of the Akatsuki and like battle against each other, and then have a tournament to see which Akatsuki was best, and like the fact that Orochimaru was part of it, and then left, and stuff like that. It gives like such depth and just like flair to a show that has like the capabilities to show off these really cool characters from like different tribes and areas of the ninja world with different abilities and stuff, and that's definitely a high point for me in the show.
Definitely a lot of different powers and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I love, and the variety and stuff like that is part of why I think Naruto is so cool.
Yeah.
And what you get to see.
A lot of unique elements.
Yeah.
It's fun to see all the even though not a whole lot of focus is placed on them, but just Naruto's other all Naruto's friends, like Shikamaru
Mm-hmm.
and and stuff, like they all have their own unique
Yep.
power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's really fun because
It's fun to see all the different types of abilities, and then you see how they fight with them together and against all the other villains.
Yeah, totally. Good time. So how are we gonna grade this? Do you have a grade?
Just grade of the whole show?
The whole show and then the final arc as well. What are you gonna give it?
I know I'm in I know I'm kind of by myself. I've definitely read and watched stuff of seeing other people's opinions of stuff of the arcs, and so I do know that I am kind of by myself here, but I think the final arc is my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I really I do like endings of shows, and I because it's the culmination of everything, and it's everything that it's been built up coming just all at one moment. This is everything the show's built up.
Yeah.
So I honestly I think the final arc was probably my favorite, just the whole war.
Yeah.
Just because it's so varied, you kind of get everything, and I really enjoyed Obito, and Madara, of course, are just so much fun to watch. Madara is just
he's
a lot of fun to watch.
True villain.
Yeah, Madara is great, and then Obito. Obito is definitely. He's definitely. Watching it, my first impression when Obito and the stuff got revealed with him was he kind of just feels like pain, or Nagato specifically, because I'm he's kind of just oh, my friend died, and now
woe is me,
and now I'm gonna destroy the world. But it's well, I think them being similar is obviously on purpose. It's easy to forget because he's he died and then switches sides kind of. He does, Nagato. Well, and Obito, they both switch sides. That's a big part of the show, is redemption.
Yes.
But I thought I do end up I ended up liking Obito, I think, more than Nagato, just because it felt. I think it's just because I was I'm able to understand Obito better, because Nagato's kind of oh, my whole, I lived in the village that was just war constantly.
Yeah.
And then his friend dies, and then Obito's is just Obito's story is basically just oh, my one friend died. So he grew up in the Leaf Village, so not the same, but I think I liked that more because I think they did a good job, because you can Naruto compares himself to a lot of the character. You can compare Naruto to be they do that a lot, with Gaara too, of this could have been me. Naruto says that a lot about the villains, them three specifically. But I think Obito was a good example, or my favorite example of that, because it's even more directly comparable, because he was from the Leaf Village.
Yeah.
And
yes,
I just thought
totally he's the most comparable to Naruto.
Yeah, so that was, I thought I did enjoy that, and his redemption, even though he does he does all these horrible things, and then is just
oh wait,
all right, I'm gonna join with you, Naruto. But I don't know. I like that stuff with him, and I don't remember the girl's name.
Reen,
yeah, with Reen, and that the end with him, and him seeing Reen again, and her just being oh, you just got lost along the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, the whole final arc, I think, was definitely a highlight, just because there's. Yeah, it's probably my favorite, because there's so much. So much goes into it. Even like one of my favorite episodes, one of my favorite parts of that final arc of the whole war is where we see Itachi and Nagato again, and because they both get reanimated, and they meet up with Naruto and Killer Bee, and those couple episodes are like so much fun. So you get to see lots of characters again, and so
Yes.
you get Ino and Shikamaru and Choji.
Yes.
They gotta fight Asuma.
Yep.
So yeah, you get like everyone gets like a moment. Sai gets a moment with his brother, which I don't. It's been a while since that. That's at the very beginning of the arc. But yeah, there's so much going on, and then Madara's just Madara's awesome, and then Kaguya, I think. I know a lot of people don't like Kaguya, but because she's not like set up at all. It is just kind of like, and also this thing.
Yeah, and it does very much feel like that.
I do kind of like that. I don't know. I did not that like I think Kaguya is like amazing. She's fine. I just kind of think it's whatever.
Yeah. I would say she's fine.
I definitely enjoyed that final battle with her. Just it gets really creative. They do a lot of crazy stuff.
Yes.
And it's fun. I think it's just fun to have like. Because Kaguya is like the origin. They go into like the origin of jutsu, basically, and like there are these magic powers and spells and stuff. So I thought that was at least, the show doesn't end there. Which if it ended like on Kaguya's defeat and then it was just like kind of over, I'd be like, oh okay, that was like kind of weird, but fine. Yeah. But then there's the great moment of like Sasuke then just being like, yeah, I'm not just good now, He's like, I'm gonna kill the Kage and then I'm gonna be Hokage. Yeah. And it's like, and then we have their whole final fight, which I think was a great, Sasuke I think was handled well in the final arc as well. Yes. I think it just did a lot of things right. So yeah. Mm-hmm. That's probably my favorite arc. To give it a grade, I mean, I kind of just want to give it like an A, just in terms of like the show, because I think it's the show. It's Naruto at its best, I think.
And are we doing? Is A like the highest tier? Or are we doing S highest tier?
Sure. This anime S tier.
S tier. Okay.
War arc is S tier.
Okay.
For me.
So. So starting at the top, we have S, A, B, C, and then I don't think we will have anything below D tier. That's like stuff you don't watch all the way. Okay, so or parts of a show you have to get through. Okay, so S tier for the last arc. What about the entire show in general?
The entire show.
Do you want to give it a something out of 10?
Oh too? Yeah, we got to do. We got to do S, right? Because they have S rank missions, right?
Oh
they have
yeah.
A rank and
I guess
B rank.
we could do. Yeah, I guess we could do. Yeah.
The war arc was an S rank mission, definitely. Oh, so wait, and then the whole show?
Mm-hmm. Whole show.
It's honestly hard. I guess I'll give it like a B, like overall. I kind of want to give it a C, but that feels too harsh. Just because I do think I think the end, and I think that final arc, which is funny because it's the whole second half of Shippuden, so it's so much of the show. Yeah. But I do think, in hindsight, that the rest of the show kind of, it definitely feels like a lot, like it's. I think it just feels more aimless. Like the other, like looking back, it just kind of feels like it really takes its time to get there, Yeah. And there's just so many episodes, but I mean, I had fun, most of the time. Yeah. It definitely gets boring. Like, yeah, I think the beginning of Shippuden, the first 50 episodes, those first two arcs, if you go back and watch those, it's so slow. It's so slow. Like, the pacing is probably at its worst there, but I'll give it a B because it's like it's definitely really slow, but I still like wanted to see. I was still, what happens and stuff, and I was still having fun. It's like
Yeah.
you still, there's no part of me that was like, even though it's so slow, it's like I still want to see what happens. I still want to know what the Akatsuki are doing. The
Yeah.
first arc with the Deidara and Sasori, like you still want to see that. It's still fun. So
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let the pacing bring it down that far. But yeah, so I'd probably give the whole show like a B, like overall.
Okay.
Like it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it. I would recommend it, but it is still a hard recommendation. It's not like the easiest
It is
recommendation,
a hard recommendation.
to be like, yeah, just watch like, without fillers. It's still like 400 episodes, and it's such a commitment. But
It is a huge commitment.
It's definitely when you get to the end of it, it's like, yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it's worth it. It was really cool.
There's a reason, this show is as popular as it is.
Yes.
Like not many other things go this long.
Yeah. And there are reasons it goes that long in terms of, wasn't discontinued or stopped, or like there's enough good things about the show to make it go on that long, for sure. So, no, I think that's totally I think that's a fair grade.
Yeah. What about you?
My grade is biased because it's the first show that I watched.
Wait, final arc though. Final arc first.
Final arc, A tier, like A+ tier. Very good. Lots of good payoff. Really good fight. I thought the villain aspect to it was inconsistent and kind of weak at times, where
Villains overall.
Yeah, villains overall, because they felt like disjoint. Like it, all of a sudden they felt like really connected, and then disjointed. Then you didn't know who was the villain anymore, and then it's like back and forth. And you're
Yeah,
like,
I mean, even with Madara, it's like before. I mean, I don't remember exactly. I guess it's like right when we get into pain stuff. It's
Yeah.
like when we finally Madara is like revealed, but even before that, it's like Madara wasn't really in the picture.
yeah,
Even I mean, there's Toby, but yeah, we didn't know he was anything more.
What was I?
You were just talking about like the villains.
Oh, villains just felt like kind of disjointed sometimes. Not enough to make me like feel like oh, this is so bad. It was more just like, okay, just.
Not with Madara and the second meteor.
I mean, it's super cool.
That's such a great moment.
Yes, I think Madara as a villain is really, really cool. It's more of like
that's true. He's definitely
the
not
stuff
scary.
with like
he's hilarious.
Obito or like Tobio, and then
Obito.
Well, isn't his like
Toby and Obito. Best covering.
Yeah, right. And
so
then
funny.
Kaguya and it all makes sense, but I didn't always enjoy it at all times in terms of it just felt a little disjointed. Again, a little bit nitpicky, but I really enjoy when like the villain is very much established for X reasons and has very clear motives, and like raises the stakes, but also like feels somewhat vulnerable and susceptible, but also overwhelming at the same time. I may be saying things that sound contradictory, but it's like to do a really good villain is really difficult, in the sense of like you find them very cool, but also you very much root against them.
You want them to feel like a threat.
Yes. Where they're total, but I also don't.
But also believable.
Yeah, believable and also not like insanely OP, because I get really tired of like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I'll use Dragon Ball as like an example, but like it goes for any show. All of a sudden it's like, oh, this, Frieza is absurdly overpowered. Like nobody can even touch Frieza. It feels absolutely hopeless, and it is hopeless. And then all of a sudden Goku finds another form of like Super Saiyan. Although I will say the first time he goes Super Saiyan is probably the coolest thing ever.
That is Frieza though. was when he goes Super Saiyan for the first time.
Yeah, no, I know. But I think that is really, really cool. But in the essence of like, they're so overpowered that it feels hopeless. To me, that's not like, I want something there.
You don't. It's like, yeah, Madara definitely can feel like too much. Of just like, yes. Madara is this. No, that's honestly, that is one of my criticisms of the show, is like, we have like the power. Yeah, when you get into it a little too much, it does kind of drive me crazy, where it's like, you know, if you look at that, where we're at now, you know, at the end, it's like Naruto, Sasuke, Madara, Hashirama.
Yeah.
They're on such an untouchable level. It's like what? Like, it's insane. Like,
it is actually, you think back of like anything, like, let's go Jonin from like the Hidden Leaf Village. Kakashi straight up can fight them for like a minute, and then he's out of chakra.
Yeah, Kakashi gets like obliterated. Yeah. Which it's actually, I do kind of like that, how funny it is in that final battle of like Kakashi kind of being there and like, you know, Kakashi and Sakura are like, yeah, no, we're here too. And then Kakashi, like, you know, gets Obito's eyes.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is awesome. But it is kind of funny to, like...
Yeah, the only reason he's useless is literally not because of him. It's because of an eye and a jutsu he was given.
Yeah, because it's funny. Because it's like, okay, Sasuke and, you know, Naruto are super strong because of their special, you know, circumstances. But it's like, dude, Hashirama, Madara, they're like the first. Like, they got something right, and then no one else followed up on that, huh? Yep. Which is like, you know, just don't think about that too hard.
Yeah. But that aside, I thought A+ tier for the final arc and the show overall for me. Again, this is like first show bias.
For the show overall, A?
Show overall, A+ as well.
Yeah.
Again, I have a hard time recommending it to people because it is so long, but I think the payout and the payoff is incredible. Super good. Naruto's a very fun character. Sasuke has a great archetype. Like, I very much enjoyed them.
Yeah, Sasuke's arc is definitely interesting.
It really is.
He's definitely an interesting character.
He is.
To do it, I think it does do a good job in the end, at least, with like him being kind of the best redemption, because we have so much time with him where he is good. You know, it's like he's good, and then he turns, and then we see the full circle of him coming then back around finally.
Yeah.
And it is, that definitely...
And it is realistic.
It's
not like, just like this flip the switch. It's like...
Because, I mean, it's been a long time since it's been at least a couple years, but like Nagato's redemption, I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're not with him that long, and you're kind of like, okay, you know, you get Nagato's whole story, and like, especially because it's such a mystery with pain, like Nagato's arc is like 2 episodes, you know, it's like 2-3 episodes, so it's like cool, but it's like Sasuke, you know, it's like the full circle of like, you really get that the most, you know, like ending on that, you know, of course, is like, you know, amazing. That like, yes, Kishimoto, you know, knew what he was doing there. Like, you have to end with this fight, you know.
Yeah. So overall, good. Mine's gonna be higher ratings. I knew, just because of this is my first show. Holds a special place for me because it's like the first introductory and like you know, what exposed me to anime, but also just, you know, first time you learn about, you know, what worlds can be created, and this kind of show is special. So I think we'll wrap it up here for part 1 of our discussion, and we'll continue with part 2 next time.
Yeah, a little intermission.
So for our recording's sake. Sounds good. We'll see you in the next part.
Bye.
Bye.